What happens when evil people realize you know their secrets? Their facade starts to crack, and their true nature comes to light. They get nervous, they get manipulative, and worst of all, they get dangerous. But, the question is, can you see through their lies before it's too late? 7 things evil people do when they know that you know. In this video, we'll reveal the 7 things you need to watch out for before you fall victim to their games. Are you ready to expose the truth? Let's dive in. The moment you realize that someone in your life is not what they seem, that their actions are driven by malice, selfishness, or outright evil, it can be an unsettling and disorienting experience. Whether it's a colleague, a friend, a family member, or even a stranger, discovering that someone has been hiding their true intentions behind a mask of charm or normalcy is often the first step in understanding how deeply manipulative or harmful they can be. But what happens when the person you've caught on to realizes that you know their secrets? How do they respond when they can no longer hide behind their lies, and when their deceptive tactics no longer work? This is a critical moment that reveals not just the true nature of the individual but also their next moves, which are often more dangerous and insidious than you might expect. This guide is designed to help you understand what happens when evil people realize you know their true intentions. It's not just about uncovering the truth, it's about recognizing what comes next and preparing yourself to defend against the emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical tactics they'll use to regain control or continue their manipulation. By learning these strategies, you can avoid falling prey to their malicious intent and protect yourself, your well-being, and your peace of mind. When someone is driven by malicious intent or has a pattern of harming others, they often go to great lengths to conceal their actions. These individuals are rarely transparent or forthcoming. Instead, they hide behind a facade, manipulating others into doubting their own instincts, judgment, or perception. Whether it's through emotional manipulation, gaslighting, or outright threats, their goal is to keep you off balance, confused, and vulnerable to their control. The true danger arises when these individuals realize that their manipulations have been exposed. This moment of awareness can trigger a host of defensive, retaliatory, and often more extreme behaviors. This document will explore the various strategies these individuals may employ once they understand that their true nature has been revealed. From covert intimidation to attempts to further gaslight you into questioning your reality, recognizing these behaviors can give you the upper hand in maintaining control over the situation. Understanding these tactics not only helps you defend yourself more effectively but also empowers you to prevent further manipulation and harm. The earlier you can spot the signs of someone trying to reassert control after their exposure, the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself and avoid falling into their traps. Evil behavior can take many forms, ranging from overt and violent acts to more covert, subtle manipulations designed to slowly break down the victim's sense of self or reality. The key to surviving and thriving in such situations is recognizing these harmful behaviors early, especially when you're the target. It's important to understand that someone with malicious intent will rarely let their true nature show all at once. Instead, they often employ a series of tactics to gradually increase their control, while maintaining the illusion of normalcy. When you are under the scrutiny of an evil person who has been exposed, the stakes become even higher. These individuals are not likely to sit idly by, they will engage in a variety of tactics to discredit, undermine, or even retaliate against you for uncovering the truth. This is why it's vital to recognize what's coming next, so you can avoid being blindsided by their next move. The ability to label and understand these behaviors when you're confronted with them can make all the difference. If you don't recognize the malicious intent behind the words and actions of these individuals, you risk being manipulated once again or falling into their trap. This is particularly dangerous when the person feels threatened or exposed, as they may resort to more extreme measures to regain control. Knowing what to expect when someone realizes you've caught on to their true nature enables you to anticipate their next move. It's a critical skill for anyone dealing with manipulative or harmful individuals. The more prepared you are, the more likely you are to stay one step ahead, protect yourself, and ensure that the manipulation doesn't escalate further. By understanding the behaviors of evil people, particularly when they know they've been exposed, you can take proactive steps to safeguard your own mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. Recognizing these signs isn't just about protecting yourself, it's also about empowering yourself to reclaim your autonomy and break free from the toxic influence these individuals exert. The nature of evil and malicious behavior. Defining evil. Evil is a concept that has been explored in various fields: philosophy, theology, literature, and psychology, and while its exact definition can vary, in the context of human behavior, it typically refers to actions that are intentionally harmful to others, carried out with little to no remorse, guilt, or empathy. Psychologically, evil behavior can often be understood as stemming from a complete disregard for the well-being of others, where the individual derives satisfaction, power, or benefit from causing suffering or harm. Psychologists have studied evil behavior in relation to certain personality disorders that share common traits, such as psychopathy, narcissism, and sociopathy. These disorders often manifest as patterns of manipulation, deceit, and exploitation, with the individual displaying a consistent inability to connect with the pain or suffering they cause. Here are some characteristics commonly found in those who exhibit evil tendencies. Lack of empathy. Evil individuals rarely understand or care about the feelings of others. Their inability or unwillingness to empathize with pain, loss, or suffering allows them to harm others without remorse or hesitation. Manipulation and deceit. To achieve their goals, evil individuals often manipulate people or situations. They are skilled in deception, gaslighting, and bending the truth, always positioning themselves as the victim or the hero when necessary to maintain control. Exploitation. Whether it's taking advantage of someone's weaknesses, vulnerabilities, or trust, individuals who exhibit evil behavior often exploit others as mere tools to advance their own agenda, often at the expense of the victim's emotional, financial, or even physical well-being. Chronic malice. Unlike someone who may occasionally act out of frustration or anger, an evil individual engages in consistent patterns of harm. Their actions aren't outbursts but deliberate, calculated attempts to manipulate, control, or destroy those around them for their own gain. The danger of consistency in malicious behavior. What truly sets apart evil individuals is that their harmful behavior is not a one-off occurrence or a mistake made in the heat of the moment. It is consistent and ingrained into their character. Over time, these patterns of manipulation become so ingrained that they often see them as normal or justified. Evil people don't necessarily snap or make one-time mistakes. Instead, they view their behavior as part of a larger strategy or way of life. Their goal is to manipulate, deceive, and control, not to act impulsively. This makes them particularly dangerous because they don't just harm others incidentally, they do so with intent, purpose, and often, meticulous planning. The real danger of their actions comes from their ability to undermine their victim's sense of reality and self-worth. They often rely on gaslighting, making their victim question their own perceptions, memories, and judgments. This form of manipulation can be incredibly destabilizing and disorienting. Over time, victims may begin to doubt their own sanity, which only makes them more susceptible to further manipulation. Evil individuals create a psychological feedback loop, where their target becomes more dependent on them for validation, while simultaneously losing their sense of self or agency. Psychology of malicious intent. At the core of malicious intent is a desire to gain and maintain power over others. For evil individuals, this power is often tied to their need for control, dominance, or superiority over those they perceive as weaker or more vulnerable. Their lack of empathy or remorse is not simply a trait, it is a psychological defense mechanism. It allows them to manipulate without feeling guilt or shame. Because they don't experience these emotions in the same way as others, they are able to view people as tools, resources to be exploited for their benefit. In their view, other people are disposable, and their needs and well-being are secondary to the goals of the individual. These individuals typically don't view their actions as evil or immoral. Instead, they see themselves as justified, often rationalizing their behavior by viewing themselves as victims of the world or of others' failings. Their worldview is skewed in such a way that they deserve to take whatever they want from others, and any harm they cause is either excused or dismissed as irrelevant. When confronted or exposed, the tactics of the malicious. When an evil individual realizes that their manipulation or harmful actions have been exposed, their immediate response is often to regain control. These individuals are rarely passive when confronted, they go on the offensive, attempting to reassert power over their victim in new, more dangerous ways. The psychological and emotional warfare that ensues can be deeply distressing for the victim. At this stage, the individual will often double down on their manipulative behaviors, using aggression, deception, or even charm to regain the upper hand. They may attempt to gaslight you further, dismissing your revelations as paranoia or overreaction, or accuse you of being the one with malicious intent. They could try to isolate you from others, ensuring that you have no support system to counteract their lies. They might even use intimidation or threats, pushing you into submission by making you fear the consequences of exposing them. Psychologists have identified several common behaviors that evil people may engage in when they realize they've been caught. Gaslighting. They may try to convince you that you're imagining things, making you question your perceptions of reality. They may distort the truth so thoroughly that you begin doubting your memory or sanity. Projection. They might accuse you of the very behaviors they're guilty of. This is a classic tactic used to deflect attention from their own wrongdoing and place the blame squarely on you. Rage and aggression. When their manipulations are exposed, their true colors often show. They may become outraged, using hostility, threats, or bullying tactics to intimidate or silence their target. Charm and flattery. In some cases, they may attempt to re-establish trust by reverting to charm. They might apologize or offer promises of change, hoping to lull you back into a false sense of security, so they can continue their manipulative tactics undetected. Sowing doubt in others. They may turn to others in your life, friends, family, or colleagues, to spread rumors, lies, or half-truths to undermine your credibility and isolate you socially. This tactic ensures that even if you're aware of their malice, they will try to discredit you and remove any support you have. Threats and intimidation. In more extreme cases, once exposed, these individuals may become overtly dangerous. They might use threats of harm, whether physical, emotional, or social, to ensure you don't go public with their actions or retaliate. Playing the victim. Often, when confronted with their own evil behavior, they may turn the tables and portray themselves as the victim of your unjust accusations, making you feel guilty for even questioning them. This manipulative tactic is designed to reverse the narrative and regain sympathy from others. 1. Gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a particularly insidious form of psychological manipulation where one person seeks to undermine another's confidence in their own perceptions, memory, or understanding of events. This technique gets its name from the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband systematically manipulates his wife into doubting her sanity by subtly altering her environment and denying the changes when she notices. Over time, the victim begins to question their own reality, believing that they are crazy or overly sensitive, even when their perceptions are accurate. At its core, gaslighting is about control. The goal is to make the victim reliant on the abuser for their sense of reality. Gaslighting doesn't just distort the truth, it twists the victim's self-perception, turning them into a mere shadow of their former selves. It's an emotional weapon that can break down even the strongest individuals by manipulating their self-esteem, confidence, and sense of self-worth. How gaslighting works. When a person with malicious intent realizes that you've caught on to their manipulations or lies, they will often resort to gaslighting as a countermeasure. They aim to discredit your perspective and reassert control by making you doubt what you know is true. Gaslighting is often a subtle tactic, so much so that the victim may not even realize they're being manipulated at first. Here are some common ways gaslighting works. Denial and disavowal. The gaslighter will simply deny they said or did something, even if there is clear evidence to the contrary. By doing so, they force the victim to doubt their own memory or perception of the situation. In some cases, the gaslighter may go so far as to deny that the event ever took place. Shifting the narrative, when confronted, the gaslighter may change the subject or distort the facts to deflect attention from their wrongdoings. They may create alternative versions of the story, twisting the facts or the motives behind their actions to make themselves appear innocent or the victim of a misunderstanding. Projection. In some instances, the gaslighter may accuse the victim of doing exactly what they themselves are guilty of. For example, if the abuser is deceitful or manipulative, they may accuse the victim of being paranoid or overreacting about the situation, thus placing the blame on the target. Making false claims. A gaslighter may fabricate stories or claim things that never happened to manipulate the victim's understanding of events. This is designed to confuse and destabilize the victim, pushing them into an emotional or psychological corner where they feel they have no choice but to accept the gaslighter's version of reality. Creating confusion. A gaslighter thrives in confusion. They might contradict themselves, make absurd statements, or even alter their behavior repeatedly to make the victim question their own understanding of what is happening. Over time, this keeps the victim in a constant state of uncertainty, making them more vulnerable to the gaslighter's control. Why gaslighting works? Gaslighting is particularly effective because it preys on a victim's natural doubt and self-questioning. We all want to believe that we can trust our senses and perceptions of the world around us. When someone repeatedly denies reality, especially when the victim feels isolated or unsupported, it can chip away at their confidence and sense of reality. Psychological stress. When someone is constantly told that they are mistaken or overreacting, they begin to question whether they are imagining things. This causes psychological stress and confusion, often leaving the victim feeling emotionally exhausted, unsure of their judgments, and questioning their sanity. Undermining confidence. Over time, the victim may lose confidence in their own intuition, memory, and decision-making abilities. They may start to second-guess everything they say or do, leaving them more reliant on the abuser for validation, reassurance, or even basic understanding. Increased dependence on the gaslighter. As the victim becomes more uncertain about their perceptions, they may begin to rely on the abuser to help them navigate the world around them. This creates an unhealthy dependence on the gaslighter, further reinforcing the abuser's control over the victim's emotional and psychological state. Example of gaslighting. Imagine you've just caught a colleague in a lie. You remember clearly that they told you they would handle a certain task, but the task was left incomplete and now your manager is angry. When you confront your colleague, they deny any conversation about the task and say, "I never said that. You must have misunderstood. I don't know why you're making this up." Despite the fact that you clearly remember the conversation, the colleague's insistence that you misunderstood makes you question your own memory. They may even go so far as to twist the narrative by saying, "I don't know why you're accusing me like this. You're always so stressed out, maybe you're just confusing things." Now, instead of focusing on their failure to complete the task, you're left wondering if you might be overreacting or misinterpreting events. This denial of facts and the distortion of reality not only creates confusion but also places the blame on you for being too sensitive or unreliable. Over time, this can erode your self-confidence and make it harder for you to trust your own perceptions, even when they are accurate. The impact of gaslighting. The emotional and psychological toll of gaslighting can be severe. In many cases, victims experience confusion and self-doubt. Victims constantly question their understanding of reality, leading to heightened anxiety and stress. They may second-guess their own actions and reactions, wondering if they're truly being irrational. Loss of self-esteem. Over time, as the victim is told that their perceptions are wrong or exaggerated, they may begin to feel inferior or unworthy. The abuser's repeated attempts to invalidate the victim's feelings lead to a steady erosion of their self-esteem. Emotional exhaustion. Constantly defending your reality and fighting to prove that you're not imagining things is emotionally draining. Victims may feel mentally and physically exhausted from the ongoing battle to assert their own truth. Isolation. gaslighting often goes hand in hand with isolation. If the abuser convinces the victim that no one else can be trusted, the victim may withdraw from friends, family, and co-workers, relying solely on the abuser for guidance and validation. This isolation only serves to amplify the gaslighter's control. Defending against gaslighting. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step to protecting yourself. Here are some strategies to defend against it. Trust your perceptions. One of the best defenses against gaslighting is to trust your own senses and judgment. If you know what you saw, heard, or felt, hold on to that truth, even if the gaslighter tries to convince you otherwise. Document events. Keeping a journal or recording key conversations or incidents can help you maintain clarity. Having concrete evidence allows you to review the facts without distortion. Set boundaries. If possible, set clear boundaries with the person trying to gaslight you. Be firm in your interactions and make it clear that their manipulation is not acceptable. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family, or colleagues. Gaslighting often involves isolation, so the more you surround yourself with people who affirm your experiences, the stronger you'll be in resisting the manipulative behavior. Consider professional help. If gaslighting has severely affected your mental health, seeking therapy can be a way to regain perspective and rebuild your confidence. A therapist can help you untangle the confusion and offer coping strategies. 2. Deception and misdirection. Creating confusion. One of the hallmark strategies of evil individuals is their ability to create confusion and disorient their victims. Once they realize that you've caught on to their manipulation or harmful behavior, they often respond with deception and misdirection to deflect attention away from their wrongdoing. Instead of confronting the issue at hand, they aim to muddy the waters, making it harder for you to prove their malfeasance or hold them accountable. In essence, these individuals will employ tactics designed to throw you off balance, either by presenting a false narrative, shifting focus to unrelated issues, or overwhelming you with contradictions. The goal is not only to avoid accountability but also to disrupt your sense of clarity, leaving you unsure of the facts and unable to focus on what matters most. For example, imagine that you've uncovered evidence of a coworker taking credit for your work. Instead of addressing the accusation directly, they may introduce new, irrelevant information, such as pointing out a minor error you made in another project or claiming that they were just trying to help. The introduction of these distractions makes it harder for you to stay focused on the core issue, and you might find yourself questioning whether the accusation is worth pursuing. How they deflect accountability. When an evil person realizes they've been exposed, they deflect accountability by engaging in a range of deceptive behaviors. These behaviors aim to distract, confuse, or obfuscate the truth, forcing you to spend time and energy questioning unrelated matters rather than the original issue. Here are some common ways they use deception and misdirection. Offering partial truths or misleading details. The individual may admit to some aspects of their behavior, but they will twist the narrative or offer a partial truth to make themselves seem more innocent or to downplay the severity of their actions. These half-truths allow them to appear cooperative while still sidestepping the core issue. For example, a person caught in a lie might say, "Yes, I did say that, but it wasn't exactly what you think," or "I didn't mean to lie, I just didn't have all the facts at the time." Creating a smokescreen. Rather than addressing the accusation head-on, the person may throw out unrelated issues or distractions to redirect attention. By bringing up extraneous matters, they divert the conversation away from their own actions and onto something else. These distractions may include deflecting blame onto others, raising irrelevant concerns, or even fabricating new issues entirely. For example, a person caught stealing might respond with, "Why are you focusing on me? What about the time you missed that deadline?" By shifting the focus to a new issue, they hope to cloud the judgment of their accuser, preventing a clear confrontation. Blaming others. A key tactic in misdirection is blame shifting. They will immediately point the finger at someone else or an external factor to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions. Whether it's blaming their environment, coworkers, or even the victim, this deflection creates confusion and diverts the focus away from the perpetrator. In a workplace setting, for example, if someone is caught misappropriating resources, they might say, "It wasn't my fault, everyone in this department is doing it. Why single me out?" This tactic aims to normalize the behavior and create a sense of confusion, where the focus shifts from their actions to the supposed shared guilt of others. Overloading with details or contradictions. Another common technique is overwhelming the victim with excessive information or contradictory explanations. By bombarding you with details, they hope to confuse you to the point that you can't discern the truth from the lies. This tactic is designed to make the confrontation feel exhausting, making it less likely that the victim will continue to press for accountability. For instance, an individual who has been caught in a lie may start providing a long-winded explanation filled with inconsistencies and irrelevant facts. As the victim listens, the story may start to contradict itself or spiral out of control, leaving the victim overwhelmed and unsure of which parts, if any, are true. Gaslighting and shifting the blame. Sometimes, deception is accompanied by gaslighting. The person will not only misdirect but also actively deny their wrongdoings, making the victim feel like they're misinterpreting the situation or imagining things. The goal here is to erode the victim's confidence in their ability to distinguish truth from fiction. For example, if you confront someone about a lie they told, they might say, "You're overreacting. This is your problem, not mine," or, "I didn't lie, you just don't understand the full context." This makes the victim question their own judgment, shifting the responsibility back onto them. Example of deception and misdirection. Let's say you've just confronted a business partner about a financial discrepancy in the company's books, which you suspect is due to embezzlement. Instead of addressing the issue directly, your partner starts to bombard you with unrelated concerns. "I don't know why you're making a big deal out of this. Have you seen how stressed out everyone in the office has been? We've all been working overtime and dealing with a ton of pressure. And by the way, have you noticed how late you've been staying at the office lately? You really should think about getting some rest." By bringing up irrelevant issues like your work hours or office stress, they shift the conversation from the financial discrepancy to your supposed personal shortcomings. This tactic deflects responsibility and makes you question whether you're overreacting. They might also subtly suggest that you're the one under pressure, implying that your suspicions might be a result of your own anxiety rather than legitimate concerns. The impact of deception and misdirection. The primary goal of deception and misdirection is to create chaos and confusion, making it difficult for you to focus on the original issue and preventing you from successfully confronting the perpetrator. As these tactics unfold, they can cause a number of psychological effects. Frustration and self-doubt. As they introduce new concerns or shift blame to others, you might find yourself getting increasingly frustrated, unsure of where to focus your attention. The disjointed nature of their responses can leave you second-guessing whether you're making too much of the situation, causing you to question your own instincts. Loss of clarity. Misdirection can cloud your judgment, especially when it's combined with gaslighting or partial truths. You may begin to lose sight of what is important and find yourself caught in the web of irrelevant details and false narratives. Emotional exhaustion. Dealing with constant misdirection and deflection can be emotionally draining. The energy it takes to stay on task, continually questioning the validity of what's being said, can leave you feeling worn down and disempowered. Defending against deception and misdirection. Recognizing when deception and misdirection are being used is the first step in protecting yourself from these tactics. Here's how you can defend against them. Stay focused on the core issue. Always bring the conversation back to the original topic. If they try to deflect or introduce unrelated issues, calmly but firmly redirect the conversation back to the facts at hand. Remind them that the current issue is about their behavior, not about external distractions. Document everything. Keeping a detailed record of events, conversations, and evidence can help you stay grounded in the truth. When someone tries to shift the focus, you can refer to your notes and stay focused on the facts rather than getting caught in their web of confusion. Don't be afraid to ask for specifics. If they offer convoluted explanations or attempt to overwhelm you with details, ask them to be clear and